In this video, we are making a Hungarian special lecsó. It's a very, very simple dish to make, but there are a million ways you can actually make it. So this is what you will need to get started. You need onions, tomato, sausage, an egg, garlic, Hungarian paprika, the Holy Trinity, paprika powder, pepper, salt, and for the base, we are going to be using duck lard just for the extra kick and flavor. To get started, you need to turn on the stove. I usually put it on medium heat. While this heats up, we'll watch the vegetables. We'll go with chopping up both of the onions. For the onions, you can cut it multiple ways, whichever one you prefer. If any master chefs are watching, you're probably wondering, wow, how come this guy doesn't cut his fingers? Slice it in from the side. The finer you chop it, the better. This way you don't have any chunks of onion in it, but it will give it a great flavor. Now that we have the onion cut, next thing to do, our pot is probably ripping hot by now. We throw in the duck lard. All right, the lard is ready to go. It's ripping hot. First thing, you go in with the onion. Now that the onion is in, you just let it steam there. And we go back to the cutting board. So this is a Hungarian style sausage that we're using here. It's smoked. This is not a must have in the lecsó, but obviously gives it an extra flavor. This can be substituted for chorizo or any type of sausage if you want. Some people even do it with wieners, but again, like I said, this dish has a million different ways of making it. All right, in this case, what we're going to be doing is cutting it in half. Once you cut it in half, you can chop these slices. You could obviously take out the seeds, you can take out the stem, whatever you prefer. In this case, I'm leaving it in, keeping it very rustic. Sausage is going to go in with the onions now. Next up, we have the tomatoes. Again, slice it up into fours. Try not to go off the cutting board like I did. Some people, what they do is they take off the stem, which I'm doing here. And then also what a lot of people do is they peel it. In this case, I'm not going to peel it. I'm just going to chop it up into little cubes. And here when you're cutting it up, you don't have to necessarily go with even pieces, since this is going to cook away. But the best thing to do is to cut it up as small as possible, just so that the outer layer of the tomato is able to cook away as well. All right, tomatoes are cut up. Next thing to do is check on the sausage with the onion and stir. Now, what you see here is the sausage is already letting out that lovely fat with the paprika in it. It's exactly what we are looking for. Now that this is ready to go, next step, we're gonna throw in the paprika. Okay, now the paprika is in. Give it a few minutes. Now that this step is done, next thing, garlic in. See the little char at the bottom? That was what I was talking about. That gives it that extra flavor. And now that you see that, take the heat up a little bit. All right, next thing, tomatoes in. Okay, now that all the ingredients are in, now we can go ahead and flavor. A good bit of salt, we'll give it a bit of pepper. In this case, we're using smoked Hungarian paprika. This also gives it a lovely flavor. Now you can go ahead, give it a bit of water, and let it steam away. Check on it. So this has been about 15-20 minutes. So at this point you see that the tomatoes already fallen apart. Okay, and almost just like with shakshuka, you make a hole in the bat or the egg. You throw in the egg, but instead of leaving it as is, you break it up and stir it into the whole dish. This way you will get a lot creamier consistency. Okay, we're ready to go. The meal is done. Try not to turn it into an omelette. Last thing to do, taste test. Perfect. Bon appetit.